Duan Jiaxu asked, "When will your teacher be back?" Sangji said that he should be back soon. "Little Sangji, brother is a bit bored." Duan Jiaxu said teasingly, "Can you say something nice to entertain brother?" Sangji looked at him suspiciously. "What should I say?" Duan Jiaxu didn't even hesitate. He said, "Just say brother Jiaxu is the most handsome in the world." Sangji was displeased. Duan Jiaxu wasn't angry. Dragging his tone, he teased, "Stingy." At this moment, Chen Mingshu, her teacher, finally returned. He sat down and smiled. "Sorry, my stomach suddenly felt a bit uncomfortable." Duan Jiaxu answered, "It's all right, there's no rush." Then Sangji told them that she will bring 2 cups of water to them and run away. She suddenly noticed that the atmosphere next door was quite harmonious, unlike her side where only Chen Mingshu, her teacher, kept complaining. Sangji listened carefully. Teacher Zhang suddenly laughed. "Zhengchu is a kid with poor grades but good in other aspects. This time, it's not because he did something wrong that she called her over. He suddenly rushed into the office yesterday, shouting he wanted her to call his parents, which startled her." As soon as those words were spoken, Fu Zhengchu immediately looked at Sangji. Their gazes met. Silence. Not expecting her to hear it, Fu Zhengchu's expression changed, embarrassed to the extreme, as if he wanted to find a hole to hide in. Sangji found it unbelievable. She was silently questioning, "Does he have a brain problem?" On the other side, the conversation lasted for about 40 minutes. After Chen Mingshu finished complaining, he took a sip of water. Then he continued, "That's about it. Actually, I don't want to trouble you too much, but Sangji really gives me a headache. When I ask her to stand up to answer a question, she asks if I don't know the answer. I asked her if she wanted to take my place to make her pay attention to class, but she said she couldn't take my job. It distracted the other children from learning." Duan Liaxu paused and glanced at Sanaji. "Is that true?" Sangji immediately lowered her head, pretending to reflect. Chen Mingshu nodded. "I've talked to your mother several times, taking up a lot of your family's time, but it's for the child's good. Sangji is very smart. If she studies well, she will definitely get into the best school. You should supervise her more." "Yes." Duan Jiaxu said, "I'll discipline her properly when we go back." They left the office. Things went smoother than expected, and Chen Mingshu didn't suspect anything. The weight on Sangji's chest was lifted. She looked at Duan Jiaxu with more closeness. "Thank you, brother." Duan Jiaxu nodded. "Going home?" "Yeah." Sangju blinked, her tone slightly fawning because he solved her problem. "What else would I do?" "Isn't it that?" Duan Jiaxu paused, reminding her slowly that he will start disciplining her. Those words were like a bucket of cold water poured over Sangji, and her joy dissipated. Reluctantly, she squeezed out, "Are you going to nag at me too?" "Let's go." But Duan Jiaxu didn't answer. "Brother will take you home." He didn't respond, so Sangji thought he was joking. Just as she was about to breathe a sigh of relief, Duan Jiaxu continued, "I'll nag you on the way." Sangji. The two walked side by side towards the school gate. He gave her time to process, not continuing the topic on campus. Sangji, anxious, clutched her backpack strap and couldn't help but say, "If it's my brother who met the teacher for me, he won't scold me afterward." Duan Jiaxu asked, "Really?" Sangji said, "Of course, really." Duan Jiaxu stared at her, as if discerning the truth of her words, then took out his phone. "I will ask." "Wait." Sangji was startled and jumped up to snatch his phone. At that moment, a female voice interrupted their interaction. The voice was soft, almost inaudible, filled with obvious nervousness. Huh, hello. They both instinctively turned around. It was Fu Zhengchu's sister. She was standing alone, with no sign of Fu Zhengchu. The young woman wasn't very tall and had a slim figure. Her features were delicate and pretty, with a rosy face. She looked at Duan Jiaxu and nervously pulled out her phone from her pocket. "Can I get your number?" The atmosphere immediately became awkward. Duan Jiaxu looked at the young woman without speaking. It felt like a silent refusal. The young woman's expression grew more embarrassed and uneasy. She bowed her head and said, "Please give me your number, I will not bother you." By hiding his phone in pocket, he replied, "Sorry, I don't have a phone." Then before he could respond, Sang-ji suddenly looked up and said something shocking. "Sister, my brother has 29 girlfriends." Duan Jiaxu's eyebrow twitched as he looked down at her. "Don't worry, he will probably give his number to you," Sang-ji continued earnestly and cheerfully, not daring to meet Duan Jiaxu's gaze. "He changes girlfriends every day, and he's one short this month. It's probably you." Sang-ji's voice wasn't loud, and her tone was calm. The young woman couldn't tell what he was thinking. The smile on her face faded, and the hand holding her phone slowly lowered. Duan Jiaxu followed up on Sang-ji's words. I am a bit of a scumbag. And recently, I've been finding it hard to keep up." He chuckled lightly. He casually added, "If you want to call me, you might have to get in line." He asked for her phone to give his home line number. His tone was so matter-of-fact, as if he didn't think there was anything wrong with his words, and there wasn't a hint of shame on his face. The woman took a deep breath, barely maintaining her politeness. She said, "No need," and ran away. Sang-ji and Duan Jiaxu were left standing in place. After the woman was out of sight, Duan Jiaxu turned to look at Sang-ji and asked leisurely, "Kid, if brother can't gather 30 women this month, what should I do?" Sang-ji was truly scared now. She didn't even dare to sneak a glance at him. She quickly shouted, "Goodbye, brother." Then she abruptly turned and started to run, as if escaping from danger. Duan Jiaxu raised an eyebrow, effortlessly grabbed her arm, and pulled her back. "Why are you running?" She had barely taken 2 steps before being caught. It's late, and it's almost dark. Sang-ji lowered her head nervously, her voice barely above a whisper. "If I don't get home soon, my mom will worry." Duan Jiaxu symbolically glanced at the sky. "It is late. How can brother let you go home alone?" Sang-ji immediately said, "It's okay. The bus stop is nearby, and once I get off, I'm almost home. You need to go back to school too, or it'll be very late." Duan Jiaxu said, "Why didn't I notice before that you care so much about me?" Realizing she couldn't escape, Sang-ji resigned herself. Duan Jiaxu lazily replied, "How did I not lose anything?" Sang-ji boldly said, "You hesitated because you didn't want to give that sister your number and didn't know how to refuse. I was helping you just now, wasn't I? You should be thanking me." The little girl was quite good at talking nonsense without blinking. Duan Jiaxu stared at her for a few seconds, seeming amused. He smiled faintly and said, "Fine." Duan Jiaxu said, "Let's go. I'll personally drop by your house." Duan Jiaxu bent down and affectionately rubbed Sang-ji's head. "Let's go. Brother will take you home." He walked her in front of her house. Duan Jiaxu had no intention of going in, so he placed her backpack in front of her. "Go on inside." She paused and carefully looked back. Duan Jiaxu was still standing there, his gaze meeting hers. Feeling caught, Sang-ji's face turned red and she quickly shouted, "Goodbye, brother!" Then she hurriedly ran inside. Sang-ji placed her hand against her warm cheek, quickly kicked off her shoes, and ran to the balcony. Grabbing the railing, she peered down. Dwon Jiaksu was almost out of the community. He was holding his phone to his ear and was seemingly on a call. After a few seconds, as if sensing something, he suddenly looked up in her direction. Caught off guard, Sang-ji felt guilty again. She quickly turned her back and crouched down. Her heart pounded, feeling as if it would jump out of her chest at any moment. Yet, it seemed to have left endless after effects. She began to think about the same person repeatedly. Something bittersweet began to sprout. Sang-ji found this feeling strange and unsettling. She didn't dare to tell anyone about it, feeling a bit ashamed. It's as if she had grown up overnight and now had her own secret she couldn't share. Her scratch pad and diary gradually filled with a young man's name. After a long month, Sang-ji returned home early, took a bowl of strawberries from the fridge, and laid on the sofa, slowly nibbling on them. Her parents hadn't returned yet, leaving her alone at home with the cheerful background music from the animated show on TV. Suddenly, the main door opened. Sang-ji looked over instinctively and saw Sang-yan's face. Surprised that he had come back for the holiday, Sang-ji was stunned for a moment. Sang-ji said, biting into a strawberry, "Mom just called and told you to cook rice. You better get to it." Sang-yan replied coolly, "I didn't even tell her I was coming home. How could she ask me to cook?" Instinctively, Sang-ji rubbed her face. Noticing her hands were empty, her eyes widened in disbelief. "How could you take my stuff?" "How is it yours?" Sang-yan took a strawberry and bit into it. "Did you buy it with your money?" Sang-ji reached out to grab it back. "I took it out of the fridge." Sang-yan easily raised his hand higher. "Well, then it's the fridge's." She struggled, standing on tiptoe and hopping. "But once I take it out, it's mine. By your logic, now that I've taken it, it's mine." The two of them stood there, locked in a standoff for quite a while. As Sang-yan was about to eat his fifth strawberry, his phone rang. He glanced at Sang-ji, subtly lowered his hand holding the strawberries, and freed his other hand to check his phone. Seizing the opportunity, Sang-ji jumped up and snatched the bowl back. Sang-yan snorted lightly and answered the call. "What is it? How many times have you forgotten your keys?" Sang-yan cruelly added, "Chen-fei went home too. You should ask Dwon Jiaksu if he's going back, though he might not be at campus." Hearing the name she hadn't heard for a long time, Sang-ji's gaze involuntarily shifted. Looked at Sang-yan's back and suddenly remembered mistaking Dwon Jiaksu for him. Suddenly, she threw the plastic bowl in her hand onto the floor. It made a loud thud. Sang-yan had just hung up the phone. Noticing her, he looked at her thoughtfully and asked, "You got this mad watching a cartoon?" Sang-yan sighed. "Did Pleasant Goat get caught by Big Wolf again?" Sang-ji finally retorted, "That's not what I was watching." After a moment of silence, she randomly asked, "Brother, have you dated anyone in university?" Sang-yan ignored her. "No, not even once." Sang-ji seemed very interested. "I'm serious, brother." Sang-yan turned around, sounding annoyed. "What is it?" Sang-ji earnestly asked, "Do you want to get plastic surgery?" He pinches her and bragging about how none of his dorm mates are taken because all of them wanted to date him. With smirk in his face, he says it was unfortunate as he is straight. Sang-ji nodded again because she no longer paid attention to what he says. But she didn't hear anything else. She only clearly heard two words. "No girlfriends." Now she is happy that Dwon Jiaksu has no girlfriend. Let's see how future unfold for them. Hope you all liked it. See you in the next chapter. Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe. I will meet you all in the next video. Have a great day.